Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. And yeah, this video is basically just about the sort of final revision of my GTX 260 for the HW bot GTX 260 OC challenge. Yeah, so like if you watched the last video where I did try to get to first place on the water cooling stage and I failed, I said that I was probably going to mod the card more, and I have done that now. So, in essence, it's just cap mods. I did not do a power bridge yet. I might still do that, but I don't think there's a high likelihood of me actually doing it, but I might. But yeah, so like so far, I don't think there's a point in putting any more mods on this, because all the things that I've done here, from what I've seen, they basically did nothing. Which is not too great. Yeah, like these might do something for Sub-Zero, but for water cooling, the card is not better with these mods than it was before. So it's kind of a failure. But I kind of still want to show it off, because I tried something new this time, which is like use SMD polymers on the card. And yeah, like I just want to go through the mods that I did. Just, you know, for Sub-Zero these might still prove worthwhile. So anyway, first, what I did is I was going to add a whole bunch of 1200 microfarad capacitors to the bulk output filtering. I added one of them, and then I was just like, you know what, this is probably not gonna do anything, I should do something else instead. So I left that one on there, didn't bother adding the other one, because it already has like the 820s on here. And it's just like, you know, there's all of these SMD, these multi-layer ceramics that are just begging to be soldered on, that are much closer to the core, and I was just like, yeah, you know, like adding more can types to the bulk output filter when it already has them there, it's probably not gonna do anything. What probably does something is stacking multi-layer ceramics close to the core and adding these SMD polymers. So, yeah. Basically, the 6 capacitors, like this stretch of 4, and then these 2 right here, did get another multi-layer ceramic on top of them. They already were stacked to 3, these 6 are now stacked to 4. And then the other mods were these 4 things, basically. So there was just one multi-layer ceramic there. These are all core voltage. And yeah, so I just took a bunch of multi-layer ceramics, I just went through the box of like harvested stuff I have, and I just found all the multi-layer ceramics that fit the size, and I thought, you know, like, I just added them. And then I saw all of these like SMD polymers. Most of them are 470 microfarad tantalums, and then there's also some 330 SMD polymer like SP caps. And yeah, like these are just from some random dead cards that I pulled at some point, and I was just like, hey, I have them, let's just put them on. And yeah, so like there's not any solder pads for these types of capacitors on this card, but what I thought was just like, well, I have these rows of multi-layer ceramics. If I just use big enough of a solder blob, I could probably just like use the contacts, and that's exactly what I did. So yeah. I just used a lot of solder, and then just used the surface tension of the solder to just like kind of bridge it to the multi-layer ceramics. You can see it's kind of a bit harder for these, which are like the small kind. The other 3 are like the really big kind of multi-layer ceramic. Like these are the size behind the core. These are bigger than that. These are like this size. But yeah, so like I added that to the end of these stacks. So that makes like a whole bunch of multi-layer ceramics for the core, and then like 8 SMD polymers, and I think 3 of which are 330 SP caps, the rest of them are 470 tantalums, because I just didn't have any more SP caps. Like, as far as I know, the tantalums are slightly worse for like using them on core output filters. For some reason, they're supposed to be better for memory output filters. I don't exactly know why. I just see them used like that a lot, and I think I saw someone say that that's the reason. That's all I know. But yeah, so like core got a lot of extra capacitance, very close to the core, much better performing than like CAN types, and it did basically nothing. It still doesn't do 860 on the core. The shader still doesn't do more than 1908. It's, yeah, like, it basically didn't do anything. At this point, I am completely certain that the reason why my core won't do 860 is a combination of it's just not cold enough and the core is just not that great. There might just not be that much scaling in the core. And yeah. Then for the memory, I kind of did the same thing. Like I have two also tantalums here, just on top of motor ceramics, and then I have a third one here that's just kind of on the backside of that CAN type. These are all for the memory, and I just added them because, well, I still had 3 of them, and I was just like, well, it's kind of hard to add them there. I'm just going to throw them on the memory. I don't really think the memory needs it. The memory on this card is really, really good already. It does 1476, which, as far as I know, is unheard of for any other card. I think the next best is like 1458 or 56, like basically 20 megahertz lower. I don't think anybody else has a card that can do 1476. And yeah, so like it's not like my memory needs it, but you know, it has it now. Might do something for Sub-Zero, I doubt it, but it's there. But yeah, like my main disappointment is just that I was really hoping this would get me to 860 on the core. It did not. It did not. Yeah, it's either just a heat problem of just like my ambient temperature just needs to be lower, like closer to the 15 degrees, and not around like my 23, 24, what I usually have. Or it could just be that the core on this is just not great, because the shader clock's not that great either. Like, other people are running higher shader clocks than I do. So the core on this might just not be that great. Which is a bit of a problem, because... So the other thing I talked about is like that blue Sparkle card, which has a good core, but the memory on it was questionable. So I did test that card today, and I found out that something happened to the card. It only displays like for 1 out of every 10 post attempts, which makes it very annoying to use. But even looking past that, the memory on the Sparkle card is just not working. It's not even doing 1400 flat. It is not happening on that card, even at like the exact same voltages. The memory on that card is actually also cap modded. Like the Sparkle card even has more multi-layer ceramics on the memory, because that card just uses more of the bigger ones, so there were just more points to solder to. So like, yeah, the Sparkle card's memory is just bad. And yeah, so that basically means it's just like, this is my only option, because the core on this might be a... Oh wow, I'm recording here, Mr. Ambulance. Anyway, yeah, so like having a slightly weaker core is a lesser problem than having really, really bad memory. So I'm still gonna use this card. That's why I decided to mod it, to hopefully make the core better, but it looks like, at least for water cooling, that's not gonna happen. So that 1908 score I got on video is probably gonna be my submission for water cooling, unless I run this again and it suddenly turns out to be a lot better. Yeah, I might be leaving the water stage at 3rd place and just do Sub-Zero and focus on doing Sub-Zero enough so that I can maybe get 1st place. The thing is, the same person that's 1st place on water is also 1st place on Sub-Zero, and there I have the exact same problem, just worse, because I've already had this card Sub-Zero, and the weaker core showed even more. Because like the other person was doing like a gigahertz on the core, and I was doing like a 940 or something. And yeah, like 60 megahertz is a lot to catch up, even when you're like Sub-Zero and your card looks modded like this. 60 megahertz is a lot of stuff too, and like that was already modded. Like my card was already modded when it did 940. That it wasn't stock. So yeah, I mean, I'm still happy that I got first place on air. But it looks like my slightly weak core might actually prevent me from being super dangerous in the other stages. Like I can still get top 3 probably, especially Sub-Zero, because like barely anyone runs it. But if I can third place on water, you know, I think I'm actually still second on Sub-Zero anyway, because like only 4 people ran it. But yeah, you know, like I started the competition. Like I talked to the HW about people, and we're just like, hey, you want to do a 260 comp? And so like I naturally want to do like the best. Like I want to, you know, be at the top. But I mean, I guess being top 3 is being at the top. But anyway, so basically that's the point of this video. Just a look at some of the mods. Oh, by the way, yeah, there's flux everywhere on the card. It looks really bad. Yeah, like the mods are nice. Like I like the mods. I like how they turned out. I like how easy it was. What I don't like is that it didn't do anything. Like, at this point, what am I supposed to do with mods? Like, okay, maybe a power bridge for the RAM. I saw people do that, but like, this card's already doing fine on RAM. The RAM is not the problem. And like, for the core, there's not really anything I can do except maybe add the others here. But like, that's not gonna do anything. Like, I have the multi-layer ceramics behind the core loaded. I have even can times behind the core, which some people say doesn't do anything, but Tag keeps doing it, and he knows a lot more about these cards than I do, so I do it too. I added multi-layer, like I stacked multi-layer ceramics here as well, and I added all the SMD polymers, which are supposed to be like a lot better at filtering than can types. And none of it did anything. So yeah. But that's basically the video. I just wanted to like, you know, I'm modding the card again, and there's gonna be at least a video for Sub-Zero. I just wanna go over like what state is the card in when I run it the next time, so people like don't need to ask me or need to guess what I did to the card to like get there. So this is what I did to the card, and I think I'm just rambling on at this point, so I should end the video. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, goodbye.